Welcome everybody to our interview with Darren Bergwerf. I'm going to call him a courageous Australian because what Darren has done this week, nobody else has done this in Australia. This is the most disgraceful federal election we've ever had. And I have been privileged to be able to know this man who has stood up. He's done what he had to do to say, I'm going to speak for people in my electorate. But tonight you are going to hear the conclusive proof that Darren has actually done the work. He's given them the chance, and the AEC cannot produce the documents for us to vote on Saturday. So Darren, welcome for a second time. And we're going to go through some stuff tonight. This is all unscripted. This is basically straight off your notes, what you told me on the phone. So we're going to go through to capture what we started in the last couple of days, what you said from Monday. And this is closing off with all this new information. We've got to get this out. So welcome on board.
Yep, thanks, Derek.
Okay. So just once more, for everybody's understanding, if you didn't see Darren's other videos, which is everywhere on social media, Darren is standing as an independent in the federal seat of Dunkley. Dunkley is in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. For those of you who know Frankston, that's the on the beach side. What's happened is Darren has stood as a candidate, and he's now come across the information that we have been working with Darren to show the proof that it is a fraudulent election. This is the greatest fraud because it's the stealing of our election before we even get to vote on Saturday. So what happened was, Darren, you returned to the same polling booth in Frankston in your electorate about midday today on Thursday, the 19th of May. Let's get straight into it.
No, the polling went was the divisional office for the AEC in Frankston Gardens Drive in Carrum Downs.
Okay. So, Darren, what you said is you mentioned in our call we made before, I'm just reading off my notes to try and see if we can capture everything, that before this interview, you spoke to the same division returning officer, Harry Papadopoulos. And we all want to know, how did he respond to your request today for a copy of the writ for the Senate? And so you gave him the papers, I understand, for the copy of the Governor of Victoria to provide a writ, and you showed him the publication in the notices of the Age and the Herald Sun.
Yeah, correct. Back there today, and he was telling me we've been waiting for 3.5 days for this for these writs, which should be easily available on the website. They should be able to hand them to me in 5 minutes. But his answer again today was that you'd have an answer today, but it may not be the one that you like.
You may get an answer, or you're going to get an answer, but it won't be the one you like.
Well, it may not. Yes, correct.
This horrified me when you told me, because this is a federal election. It's not councils, it's not state, it's the Australian government. You're not going to like this answer. Okay, so we're going to deal with that in just a moment. So you spoke to the same guy that you spoke to on Monday.
Yeah, Harry, the Dunkley Division Returning Officer for the Australian Electoral Commission.
Okay, you just broke there for a second. I'm going to repeat the name, Harry Papadopoulos.
Yep, correct. Yep, and he's the Dunkley Division Returning Officer for the AEC.
Okay, just one moment. We've got another meeting going on. So let's see if we can try and make this happen. So, all right. So here we go. So Harry Papadopoulos is the Division Returning Officer. Did he give you the writ?
No.
So you've given him a chance, you've been back again, and you've tried, and he can't give you any paperwork.
Correct.
All right. So you said it yesterday, you don't make the rules, you're just following them because you're not a voter, you're a candidate. And that he would be saying that it would seem that he's going to let you down and that you won't be happy. So for every Australian that is waking up to the fact of what you have now discovered this past week, that there is no writ, that is the document for the Governor-General to have a writ for the House of Representatives, which is what you're running for, and the Governor of a state to do the writ for the Senators, you haven't got the satisfaction for both of them.
Correct. And in my opinion, I just don't know how they cannot declare that I am the only candidate for the federal seat of Dunkley.
Okay, this is astounding. You are the only man and woman in Australia to say you're claiming a seat because you've exposed the fraud. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but I've just got to capture this. Your division returning officer, Harry Papadopoulos, stands under a man called Nye Coffey.
Correct.
He's the estate manager for the AEC.
Yep.
Okay, we've seen photographs of him allegedly taking a piece of paper from the governor, but you've proven it's a fake.
Well, I haven't seen it to prove that there's nothing to be fake. There's just not one there.
There's nothing to be proven because there's nothing there. So we have a problem. So
Yes.
we have determined and understood that there is a piece of paper floating around, but they're not going to give it to us. So that's what you've exposed, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we're trying to get through all of this to unpack this because this is so important what we're going to say. You want to know that you have now declared that you're the only candidate left. There are 9 people in your seat running for your seat. The other 8 people have said what to you? Have you contacted any of those people?
I have involved as well, but once again, they're ruled by a corporation, and they're just towing the party line and going about the election as normal. So they're not interested.
They're not interested. So you've taken the moral high ground to say I'm claiming the seat, and you've got the proof for it.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. If people want to call their members of the upper house, right, the upper house in your state, you have got to ask them for a copy of the writ from your state governor, which was what I did today. They have not seen one, these people, and they've been working there for over 10 years. Everybody's going to get this information. I'm going to give you an email address that you can write to at the end of this interview. Here in Victoria, the council members, that's the Legislative Council in the upper house, never seen this writ. That affects your state government. Every state government is run by the governor. So this is what we're talking about. How can the members of parliament of a state bringing on these ridiculous laws, which are not for us, it's for this new world order? This is what's happening. They're both connected. We're trying to make sure we capture this. What Darren has uncovered, the governor has no writ for a federal election. The governor has no authorised document for a state election. Really, really important how we did this. So what we're up to now is that the members of the parliament in the 2018 state election are all captured in this fraud, because Linda Dessau was the governor to appoint and to close down the paperwork for Dan Andrews. It's all connected, what Darren has uncovered. All right, so Darren, moving right along. If you can't find the writ for Victoria with Harry Papadopoulos, the division returning officer, and Nye Coffey, his boss hasn't got it, and he's meant to put his signature on it and put a date on it that he's endorsed it, and everybody else has been searching and looking to no avail, where does that leave you as a candidate? Can you just tell us your feelings again, what you said yesterday?
Oh, it's devastating to think that I've put my hand up to try and save this country from the tyranny and the corruption. And we don't actually have a fair election system in this country. So all the other candidates have put up their money as well, and they're being robbed of a chance to actually get a seat at the table.
Right. So can I just say this? There are 1,624 candidates, and Darren is one of those 1,624 people, most of them with their hand on their heart to stand up for their area and do something right for our country. And they've been stripped of anything except a fraud in front of their face that there's no paperwork. This is what I've got to put down. Every candidate has had to pay $2,000 to become a candidate to represent us. And now we're finding out that Darren has proven it's a fake, it's a fraud, and it's a complete treason against our country. That figure is $3.248 million you will never see in the Herald Sun or a daily paper. So Darren, having that idea in the back of your mind, you said to me 2 days ago, it's no longer about the election. You've got to get to the end of this road, correct? Can you just tell us in your words how you said, I've now found out there's a problem. It's gone much, much bigger than politics.
Well, it is, and it's not. This really has to go to Vic Pol and the Australian Federal Police and IBAC. This needs to be investigated, and potentially we need to take court action.
That's a pretty big call, Darren.
Well, that's the way, because I don't think they're going to be helpful in any way of giving us the information that we want. I think we may just go away, but I can tell them right now we're not going away.
So I just want to hear, for people to hear it in your own words, you are absolutely committed for your family, everybody you know, that you're not going to back down.
Correct.
Okay. So you can only go on the facts. You said that yesterday. No one can give you a writ. You've written, you've called, you've been there in person, zero, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You are now saying again, it's Thursday night where we're recording this, 2 days before the election. You've now claimed it because Tom Rogers must stand up, right?
Yes, correct. Tom Rogers or from Nye Coffee.
Okay, so Harry can't answer your questions. He can't give you anything else except to say you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to get what you're looking for.
Well, we rang him just on the close of business today and emailed him. Still hadn't come through. And I said, well, that's okay. I just need to know if it's not coming through tonight so I can let my barrister know. And he was in a bit of shock, I think, on the phone. He was stunned.
That's fantastic to hear, a barrister, and hopefully they can get this across to all barristers in Victoria that we're in the same boat together. So what I want to make sure people understand, that if no writ exists in Victoria for the Senate, this means this applies to every state and territory across the country. Would you agree?
Well, I'm not assuming so, but I'm on Victoria. That's all I know for sure.
Okay. So, in my opinion, from what you've told me, the AEC Corporation, that's what they are. They're not a government agency, headed by Thomas Joseph Rogers and Nye Coffee, his Victorian manager for Victoria, and Harry Papadopoulos, along with 1,100 staff, are going about letting people through the door of a polling booth, letting people to take a pencil to vote. There's a problem already. You can vote with a pencil. I'm not sure everybody knows this. That's a new regulation, which Darren found out that as well from the same polling booth. And Darren also informed me that he got the email. You can phone in your vote. You can phone in your vote on a telephone. Gee, is that open to fraud?
That's if you've got.
Can you just say that again, Darren? We just cut out a sec.
Yeah, I'm just trying to vaguely remember the email. It happened to be if you or in COVID restrictions, you could do a phone vote.
Wow. So you can fake you've got COVID and you can say can stay at home. Yep. This makes Daniel Andrews' red shirts fiasco that he's in the Anti-Corruption Commission look like the end of school picnic breakup now, what you've just said, because this just goes across the country now. So Andrews has trumped his political career by being so deeply involved in this because his governor is not a governor. So this doesn't consider that everyone across Australia who conscientiously doesn't want to vote is not voting illegally or not voting illegally. They just need to hear this message from you, Darren, right? That they've got paperwork we can share across Australia when people say, I'm not going to vote anymore. Because when we don't vote and we vote with our feet, we're not going to go. You've got the proof. We've talked about that, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. But it's not about not voting. This is about bringing down the corrupt system that we don't have a fair vote. We are not a free country. We're not a democracy by any stretch. And people are starting to see that now, and we need to expose it. Great.
So I'm going to repeat this again because people have been asking me today, and I'm sure you got the same. You're the only independent. You are not a corporation. You're a family man. You've got 4 sons. I've met 2 of your sons. You're doing it for them. That right now you are claiming the seat of Dunkley as the only one exposing this fraud. And
I'm the only man that is running in this election, that is not a corporation. And yes, I am claiming the seat of Dunkley.
Right. Tom Rogers, Commissioner of the AEC Corporation, you must make this declaration. Darren Bergwerf is the only candidate in the seat of Dunkley. I can only go on what you've told me, your facts and your truth, no one can give you any paperwork. So now we're going to be bringing in Nye Coffee. That's his name, Nye, that's his given name. And he accepted a piece of paper from the governor, and he's did that on behalf of a company called the Australian Electoral Commission for Victoria. He must sign and endorse that he received that piece of paper. They haven't got it. We've got the photograph. He has got something in his hand, and that's where it stops. That's what we're talking about and what Darren has found out. Tom Rogers accepted the same thing from the alleged Governor General, to go ahead and have the election for the House of Representatives. Doesn't exist. It's not there. We haven't got that photograph. We've got the proof that he has to accept it. That's now time. It's got to be produced. This is what we're talking about now. The buck stops with Tom Rogers. This is corruption at a level that Darren has exposed. So, Darren, what you're alleging, this is seriously explosive stuff now, that you've got the facts, and we've got a barrister who has said he's interested to stand up with you.
Well, I would hope there'd be barristers and lawyers all around the country that would be interested in standing up with me on this one, because this is the future of our country. Okay,
so the only place this can go is when people see this video, and I'm going to get you an email address. I'm going to get this to try and be a place, because I've got the documents to go into a polling booth, and we'll be working all day with my people to get this out to people coming to us, that this is where you're going to go to the polling booth with what Darren did and copy his footsteps. So the only place this can go now is with your support and people who share and get this message out, is to Reece Kershaw, the Commissioner of the Australian Federal Police, because he's got to be involved now and he's got to investigate this, because this can't go on. The next person, because this happens in Victoria, is Shane Patton, Commissioner of Victoria Police, because it's happening on his turf. And this is where we've got the Crimes Act backed up by a barrister to stand behind you, Darren. That's what we're telling you. We've got this wrapped up. It's not an allegation. It's not an accusation. It's now fact. So this is where we're coming from. I've got to say this for the record. The Australian law is Section 80 of the Criminal Code Act 1995, which is Australian law. That's why it affects everybody who watches this across Australia, from east to west, north to south. In Victoria, it's Section 9A of the Crimes Act 1958. Treason, treason, treason. That's what it is. And if anybody wants to have a go and say, oh, this is just all talk, we've got the proof that there's no writs. Darren has done that. So the next thing I'm going to say, Darren, is what we spoke about. This information also needs to go to IBAC. That's the Anti-Corruption Commission, because it's there to investigate public servants and the public interest. Boy, have you got the biggest public interest story in this country's history.
I know. Amazing. You'd think all the media outlets would be chasing me down for an interview, wouldn't you?
And you've challenged Koshy and Stefanovic and nothing, right?
No, we know why. That's fine.
So you've seen their colours. They're weak behind the ears because they've been told what to say and do.
Well, so, they're like trial by hire.
Absolutely. So we're going to be notifying the Australian Federal Police Commissioner, the State Police Commissioner. We're going to notify IBAC, and we are going to start this legal process. We are going to be discussing that first thing in the morning when we get this matter across, because you've got lawyers who want to stand behind you. I mean, high quality lawyers. So we've told you about the fact that if you live in any state, you have a right to ask all the members of your upper house. And I say upper house because we want to wrap up the whole building, the whole parliament of your states or territories. Ask them, where is the state governor's writ? And they can't get it to you. We've tested it. We've tried this. I'm going to get you an address, and that's where you're going to be able to get these 3 documents. We'll get them to you tomorrow, right? I'm going to put my neck on the line and say, you give me an email, it's going to come back to you. So we're looking at possible legal action. Let us say right now, we've got good people talking as we're doing this interview about getting good barristers behind you. But what is certain, we have the fraud. We've got this. There is no writ from any governor in any state, including Western Australia, which I've given you a copy, Darren. That's a fake.
Okay, that one actually looks legit.
It looks legit. There's
Yep.
only one problem. It's given to you by a public servant.
Yep.
Right? And I'm going to say this because I've said this on Instagram. Rodney Cullerton of the Great Australia Party has got the document to prove that document is a fraud. There is no governor of Western Australia. So, Rod, it's up to you to stand up for our country and say, this is where you're coming from, and you've got the proof. This is where we are. So we've got this applies to every state because Linda Dessau is a governor. She's meant to be a governor. She's not. She's a public servant, and she's proven that she's underneath Dan Andrews. That's why the premiers can't be sacked. There's no governors to sack them. And this is where we're coming from. So no wonder why we're in such a position. If there's no writ, Dan in Victoria is under full control.
Sounds like a dictatorship to me.
Can you just say that again, Darren?
I said, that sounds like a dictatorship to me.
That's all you have to say. That's all you have to know and say. Got the phone calls coming in everywhere, trying to get through to try and say what's going on. Now, today, it's up to Tom Rogers. Tom, you've got to get Darren Bergwerf a public declaration. He has now been declared the winner for Dunkley. This is where we're coming from. I will work out how we're going to get it to him somehow. So let's go over it again. Darren has said he's tried for 4 days. He's given them every opportunity. He's written by email, phone call, been in person, gone to the website. There is no writ. And this is where we're coming from. Nye Coffee is concealing treason. I'm going to call him out now. He has got to show that document from the governor that he's endorsed. And it's not in the newspapers and it's not in a polling booth. He must call off this election tomorrow. And this is going to get around. And when we get this to you, Darren, and we get this out to everybody we can reach, please share this widely. It's a fake, fraudulent New World Order takeover because there's no documents by the Governor General or the Governor of a state. So, Darren, if this is what's going on, we've discussed Vic Poll. We're going to discuss that after we speak to your barristers who want to help you. We've discussed the Australian Federal Police and IBAC. You've made it very clear this is your duty now. You are saying you are so involved in what's happening, it can't go any further. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave it at that point because we're going to get you legal advice so you can make a careful, chosen decision about what we're going to do tomorrow. Is that okay with you?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. We're telling everybody because we only have one more day left. That's why this had to get rushed out on Thursday night. So what we're going to do is update every Australian after we speak to you, after you get your legal options, and you say, I'm making a decision, this is what you're going to do.
Yep.
Is that fine by you? Okay. So Darren has claimed it. If Darren does not get the seat of Dunkley, you know this is fixed. You know this has been already judged already before the election has happened. This is where we are. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it clearly from Darren. He's claimed it. I'm basing it on constitutional law because that's all we have left. And this is what we need you to do, Tom Rogers. You've got to get us back and give a public declaration that this is now beyond your ability to conceal this any longer. This is the greatest deception upon Australia. It's deceptive and misleading conduct by a corporation greater than anything else I could ever imagine. And this is what we're saying. Where is the $3.248 million? Where is the record? What's happening about this? And what happens to people who conscientiously object to voting now it's a fraud? You can't let those people go into a courthouse anywhere in Australia. That's what I'm going to say this. It's going to be illegal to do this. So until it's sorted out, sorry, Darren?
Not only that, but all of this stuff that's coming out and the fact that we've voted for 2 weeks, where in the Constitution say we have 14 days of an election. Even on the advertisement in the Herald Sun and the Age, it states the election day, the polling day is the 21st of May, Saturday. Now, I believe that the whole pre-poll voting may be unconstitutional also. because some bad news could come out about either Albo or Morrison 3 days out from the election that would swing people's votes, and they've already voted for them. So I think we need to look into the pre-polling issue as well.
Darren, you have hit a very sensitive topic. Yes, the big parties, the people who've got the money, like we won't mention any names, but the big groups out there who've got lots of money, they can have people standing in a booth. You're an independent. You don't have the resources to go and stand at, I don't know how many booths in your electorate. You can't do it.
Well, it's 12 hours a day for approximately 10 or 11 days pre-polling at 2 different stations. So we need 8 people a day to do 3-hour shifts, and it's just impossible for someone like me to be able to do that. Now, Labor and Liberal, they have multiples there all day, every day. They have 40 or 50 signs up at each booth. So it is lopsided the whole way the election system is run.
You've just exposed the biggest problem is the independent does not have any fighting chance. And your good friend Damien, who is standing up for the Senate, the same as you, he's standing as an independent. What happened with his story briefly about the ballot paper?
Oh, story there, but there are issues with the Senate ballot paper, and there are people involved in the Senate race from Queensland. There's a guy that's bringing out a lot to do with that as well. So that's a whole nother level again.
A whole nother level. Now, I need to make this very clear to anybody watching this. Until this fraud is sorted out, Scott Morrison or Anthony Albanese cannot sign the scheduled meeting on the 22nd of May in Sunday, the day after the fraud. They cannot sign the declaration that Australia is now going to be handed over to the New World Order and to the WHO. That's what's going to happen on Sunday, the 22nd of May in Switzerland. We will be giving the WHO control of our country under their constitution. This is a sellout. What Darren is doing is amazing and it's heroic. I can't say it any less than that. What he's doing is standing up. Where are the other Australians saying, I need to get in touch with Darren? Darren, we're going to make sure we're going to find a way for people to speak to you who are candidates so they can say they're going to join what you're going to do. If you know a candidate and they want to get in touch, I'm going to give you an email address and we will be able to get back in touch with you and I'll get them to Darren, because we have no more time. No more time. Right. This is treason. To sign us up to a treaty no one knows anything about. It's on the internet. Scott Morrison, Anthony Albanese, you are not going to sign it without permission. You're not going to sign it without consent or our fake votes, because there are no votes in this election. It's all fake. There's no paperwork. This is where we're coming from. This is deceiving every candidate and elector in Australia. This trumps the United States and France elections as being a picnic, because we know about it before it happened. I'm using my words directly to get the point across. Darren has exposed the criminal fraud. It's that simple. And this is the most fraudulent election in our history because we've got the proof. Because the AEC is a federal corporation, and you heard Darren, he's the only independent or other person who is not a corporation. He's a live man. Everybody else is a corporation, a dead entity in the law. This now engages Joe Longo, the chair of ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, and he's got to investigate Darren's story from top to bottom. And this is why we need to get this out as far as possible. Darren, let's do this Friday afternoon, as everybody needs a final pre-fraud update to find out what you have learned from the barristers who are standing behind you immediately, that we have more to share. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
So we're going to do it carefully. We're going to get advice. We're going to do it the right way. And when Darren has said he's got all the cards on the table, we're going to do one more of these interviews tomorrow afternoon. And that's when you're going to know how to get make a decision what you're going to do. If you don't want to vote, if you choose not to vote, we've got the paperwork to help anybody across Australia. You are not going to go alone. I'm going to get you to write this down or have this, and then you can play this again. Send me an email and I'll get you the paperwork to Derek, Derek, at educateforprotection.website. I'm going to put my neck out. I will be watching it like a hawk tomorrow morning. And if you get this and you get this out there, I will be getting this to you. You can get the papers to go to a polling booth like Darren. And I'm going to give you the email address again. Derek, DEREK, at educateforprotection.website. And I will get you the papers to take to your polling booth. So please replay this if you haven't got it. This has been done in short notice because Darren is doing the job that we should all be doing to stand behind him. So Darren, thank you on behalf of everybody who's awake in Australia, and we are right next to you.
No worries. Derek, thanks very much for your time.
Have you got anything else you want to add before we close off and then we get you in front of barristers tomorrow?
Not really. It's nothing more than I added last time. I think people just out there need to wake up and do a bit of research because our country's on the line here and they don't realise it. It's about as serious as it gets. We're going to slip into communism.
Darren, couldn't have said it better than myself. I'm going to give you my email once more. Derek, DEREK, at educateforprotection.website. And I will get you 3 documents that you will have from us to back Darren and walk behind him. He's done the hard yards. Darren, we're going to be in touch with you in the morning, and then we're going to take that information and we'll speak to you again on this space tomorrow afternoon.
Yep, no worries.
Darren, thank you very much and really appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
No worries.
Okay, we'll see you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Get this across the country. We've got 24 hours. This is critical. Take care until this time tomorrow afternoon.